So today's book review is In Every Mirror She's Black by Lola Akinmade. And how can I say? I really enjoyed this book. I actually listened to it on Audible. And books like this just really calls to me and speaks to me because it reminds me of why I love reading, of what made me, enjoy reading as a hobby ever since I was very young, and it's because of its ability to transport you to like another dimension, transport you to another country, region, culture. And I love learning about places I've never been to, or even places I've been to, learning about them in a different way, different perspective through characters. And although it's fiction and of course it's like make believe, it still enlightens you about a lot. And this is what I love about stories. And so when I saw this book about these characters in Sweden, and I was like, oh, that'll be really interesting, because I think sometimes we think the black story is just same. It's not. And there's a lot about, what happens in America. And it's so different here in Europe. It's different here in England. And so I always love opportunities to learn about the black experience in other parts of the world. And this book definitely sheds a great light on that. So I'm gonna go ahead and start by reading the synopsis as I do in every single book review. 3 black women are linked in unexpected ways to the same influential white man in Stockholm as they build their new lives in the most open society run by the most private people. Successful marketing executive Kemi Adeyemi is lured from the US to Sweden by Johnny von London, CEO of the nation's largest marketing firm, to help fix a PR fiasco involving a racially tone-deaf campaign. A killer at work but a failure in love, Kemi's move is last-ditch effort to reclaim her social life. A chance meeting with Johnny in business class en route to the US propels former model turned flight attendant Brittany Ray Johnson into a life of wealth, luxury, and privilege. A life she's not sure she wants, as the object of his unhealthy obsession. And refugee Muna Saeed, who lost her entire family, finds a job cleaning the toilets at Yoni's office as she works to establish her residency in Sweden, and more importantly, seeks connection and a place she can call home. Told through the perspectives of each of the 3 women, In Every Mirror She's Black is a fast-paced, richly nuanced yet accessible contemporary novel that touches on important social issues of racism, classism, fetishization, and tokenism, and what it means to be a black woman navigating a white-dominated society. Woo, yeah, that is a whole lot. So the characters, as I've just, as the synopsis has just shared, Kemi is like, this amazing marketing genius who is like not really valued so much in her place. I guess she's valued in her job role in the US, but she feels she can do more. She wants to grow her career. But the biggest thing for Kemi is her love life. So she's this black successful woman, but just failing at love. She has a twin sister who has a family and children. And if you know anything about, Nigerian households, the traditional ones, marriage, family, kids is like the most important thing for women, right? So she has this twin sister living that dream. And she feels like, why can I not just find love? And I think it's that thing as well. And is what, when you listen to videos or whatever on social media talking about, it being a real issue of there just being so many black so many successful black women and just not enough men on par with them in terms of career, finances. And it's so, do you lower yourself to, like, because of love, date someone else whose career is maybe not on the same level as yours, not earning the same income as yours? And so Kemi is sort of like in that phase of her life where she wants something more out of her personal life. And so we have Brittany Ray, who is his flight attendant, has a loving partner, but I think the partner has just not made the next step which she wants, and there's this sort of like confusion and like conflict there. But then she gets swoons by this wealthy is it Scandinavian man? I don't know. Sweden, is that Scandinavia? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, she gets swooned by him and he really pursues her in a really aggressive, crazy way. And she's like, well, he's claiming he wants to claim me, and I have this dude I've been dating for years who's not doing what I want him to do. So that's sort of like Brittany's own sort of, I guess, dilemma in the novel. And then we have Muna. Muna is an asylum seeker in Sweden, and she finally gets I guess her stay, and now her storyline is all about belonging, finding her place in this new society. She's been able to learn the language because she was like in a detention holding space for a number of years, so she knows the language, she understands the language, but of course she's in a new society, she doesn't have the qualifications, and she just has to find her way, has to find a way to survive and to grow a community of support around her. So those are sort of the three characters. And so what links them all is this Yoni guy. So Kemi gets headhunted and moves to Sweden. She decides it's going to be like this new fresh start for her. She can hopefully find love there since it's been difficult in America. And we have Brittany, who finally goes for Yoni. They get married and she's starting her life there. And then there's, of course, Muna, who has been given her, who is a refugee and has now entered the society. So they're all in Stockholm, navigating their new life in this new city. And Yoni is sort of like the single strand. And they all sort of don't really know each other. They come in contact here and there. And yeah, that's sort of majorly what the book is about. So I really enjoyed this book. Like I said, I love learning about, cultures and places. So it was really interesting seeing Sweden through each of these women's life. When you think about, they're all black women, but when you think about classism, so you have Kemi, who is like, this high-flying marketing executive. She's on the board, but then she struggles to have a place in there because, while yes, she's high paying and at the top of her career, she's in a society, although they did bring her in, they still sort of are giving her the side eye. So there's some difficulties there acclimatizing and finding her place with her colleagues and the society and how she's being treated. And I think she's in an unusual position for a black woman in that society. So there's a lot navigating that. And of course, there's Brittany, who, ends her flight attendants, whatever, because she's now, wealthy. She's married into money. So she has her own situation is about, I guess, getting into the fold, Yoni's family accepting her as a black woman, of course, and all of that comes with it. She has all this luxury, but what does it mean when you're not right within? So there's that storyline. And then, of course, there's Muna and, having to find friends, find family, find work, and just feeling so much loss. She's lost her own family and she's all alone in the world. So how does she feel this vacuum that is in her in a society that looks down on her? But she has ambitions. She wants to like go to school, want to study, further her education and improve herself and like do something. And so it's all of these situations, all of these themes that is being covered in the novel. And we're sort of learning about, Sweden as a society and how they treat people who they see as foreigners, as others. And this was really interesting because although my book, The Returnees, covers quite different themes, but there's a lot of that similarities in terms of like telling the story of a people, telling the story of a society through the characters and through your plotting and storyline, which is what I did in mine and which is what I also enjoyed in this novel. So now let's come to some of the things I didn't really like about this novel. And this is, of course, subjective and personal. But if you've watched any of my reviews, then you know that when characters are problematic, it annoys me. Or when characters do uncharacteristic things, that doesn't flow with the personality and how they've been built in the novel, then I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And so for Kemi, so there's this interaction between Kemi and Brittany actually during like dinner, whatever. I wouldn't say too much about it so I don't give away any spoilers. But Kemi says something, I'm just like, wait, what? This like came out of the left. I'm just like, this is not the Kemi I've come to understand in this novel. It just doesn't make sense of like the sort of way she carries herself, the way she speaks, her values. And being Nigerian myself, I know those sort of like, I could just relate to some of the things she would do, she would say, her reasoning. And so when she said that thing and that interaction happened with Brittany, I was just like, this is so weird. I don't think Kemi would. But then characters are flawed, isn't it? And people are not perfect and people do the strangest, damnedest thing. It just didn't make sense for this character, but I guess it's subjective, like I said. And then for Brittany was ignorant in such a way that I was just like, nah, this is ridiculous. It's not like you've lived in an African country all your life where race was not a thing. So how can you be this ignorant? You're a Black American. How are you finding all these things surprising? Like, because obviously Yoni is a white man of really upper class, very privileged. And if you think about like, traditional whiteness and those sort of values they carry, the family are not quickly receptive and some things happen and some things are said, some things are not done that should be done, and she's just like a bit clueless. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, what did you think? Because he was rich, you were just gonna have this amazing life and not suffer the consequences of your decision. You made a really stupid decision. Subjective again, I say. Everyone's allowed to live their lives how they would like to. But yeah, I was just like, those things with the characters, I'm just like, no, it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. How can you be so ignorant? You're a Black woman. You grew up in America. How did you think? Yeah, so that part of it was just like, yeah, this character is pissing me off. But those are the only things I can say about the novel. So I don't know if it's about trying to write a flawed character or the author trying to make them flawed. I guess that's what I've just said here, trying to make a flawed character, or the author just not. I don't know. I think because I studied psychology and human behavior is something I'm really interested in and something I really explore and research in. We know some things influence how we behave. And so when characters behave counter to how they've been built up and positioned in a novel, I'm just like, I'm sorry, this doesn't make sense. So yeah, I don't know, but that's just my subjective view. I think those characters wouldn't have done that. But it doesn't take away from the novel. It's a good read. It's a very descriptive style of writing, which is totally fine. For me, I do enjoy books in terms of the heart, the message, what it's trying to convey. Of course, we all love novels where it's like, beautiful prose, flowery writing. You feel like you're in the cloud and all of that. This is not that book. But the narrative voice is quite strong, powerful, enjoyable. So I listened to this on Audible, and I must say the accents on Audible are atrocious. And so trying to have a Nigerian, pseudo-Nigerian American accent was off a lot of times. I think Britney's accent, because she's a Black American, was more consistent than the rest. The voice artist was able to keep that up. Muna was okay as well. There was some parts in the novel where it was Kemi speaking, but it was like in Britney's accent. And I was just like, oh, you lost it there for a bit. But, it doesn't take away from the story. But just beware, if you do enjoy listening to books, the Audible version is not the best. But it doesn't take away from the story, like I said, but just being Nigerian myself and knowing how we speak, I was just like, this accent, no done, no done. Okay, so moving on now. So this book actually has a second part. So there's a sequel which came out this year in 2023. And the author had like a book launch in London at Dawn's Books. And so I did attend and met her. And this is the beautiful cover of the second book. So I got this book and it was signed for me. It was signed, right? Where is it? I swear this book was signed. Oh, there we go. It's in the inner pages. There we go. Signed. She says, "Dear Lize, here's to finding your own safe space." And I actually cannot wait for this one. To be honest, when I first heard about the sequel, I was like, I don't know if I want to read it. Like, I really enjoyed the first one, but I don't particularly want to read the sequel. But listening to, what she said about it, and then she read a chapter during the book launch, and just seeing the synopsis and everything, I was like, you know what? I actually now want to really know what happens, because the way the book ends, there's a cliffhanger. The characters are not really resolved. It's not like a full circle stuff. And so I'm like, yes, I actually would love to read this and find out what happens to these characters. And so I cannot wait. I love the beautiful, colorful cover. And this one is called Everything Is Not Enough. So yes, I can't wait to find out more about this. But yes, if you're looking for a novel to read, definitely recommend reading Lola's work. I've been following her even before her fiction writing, because she's also a photographer and her travel photography is amazing. She's doing wonderful work, and I'm so happy to see another Nigerian, making it here internationally and all of that. So wishing her all the best. If you enjoyed this review and would like to watch other reviews of me, find out other books you can pick up, make sure you click here to look at my review playlist. This is it for now, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy reading. Bye.